Good to have you here. Why does your body keep hesitating before you open your own front door? There's a moment most of us experience every single day and almost never talk about. That extra few minutes sitting in your car after you've already pulled into the driveway. The way you linger on the porch a little longer than you need to. Or that pause before you reach for the handle. The one where your hand actually stops. You're home. You made it. The place you've been thinking about all day is right on the other side of that door. And yet, there is a very specific kind of silence that only exists inside a parked car at the end of the day. The commute is over. The world has finally stopped asking things of you. You've arrived at the place where you supposedly belong, and yet, you just sit there. You look at the front of your house and you breathe. For these few minutes, nobody knows what you're thinking. You don't have to be a partner or a parent or the person who holds things together. You're just a person in a seat, and right now, that's enough. The hesitation makes sense, even if it's hard to put into words. The front door isn't just a way into a building. It's the start of a new set of requirements. The moment you step through it, you become something for somebody. You become the one who listens, the one who helps, the one who stays steady when the evening gets complicated. And you've been someone for people all day. We don't talk about this because it feels like a betrayal, like if we were good people, if we genuinely loved what was waiting inside, we'd want to run through that door. But the truth is more complicated than that. We're not hesitating because we don't love them. We're hesitating because we love them enough to know what walking through that door is going to cost us tonight. And we're trying to hold on to just a few more seconds of being no one's anything. That pause in the driveway is often the only moment in the entire day where nobody's expectations have reached you yet. You're just a body in a seat, watching the house from the outside, and nobody is asking you to provide a version of yourself. Eventually, you have to move. You gather your things and step out. And notice what happens in those few steps toward the door. Something shifts in the body. The shoulders come up slightly. The spine straightens. The face adjusts. It's a physical thing, like crossing a border between the person who is just sitting in the car and the person the house is expecting. You might catch your own reflection in the glass of the door or a dark window on the way in. And for a second, you do a quiet check. Do I look too drained? Am I bringing the day in with me? You don't want to carry the mess of the outside world into the space you've both worked to keep steady. But you don't have the energy to explain the texture of the mess either. So you decide to leave it on the mat. You take a breath, the kind that's supposed to reset something, but usually just makes your ribs feel tight. And you put on the version of you that the house knows. It's not dishonesty. It's something quieter than that. It's the way you adjust your voice to sound a little more available than you are. The way you prepare a version of the day that's accurate, but not too heavy. You've turned your own home into a place that requires a specific kind of energy just to enter. And you do it because you don't want to be the thing that makes the evening harder. You're terrified of being caught with your real face on, the one that's just blank, just absent, just done. And the key turns, the door opens, and the shift is immediate. I'm home. The words come out with practiced ease. You put your things down, you read the room. Is there tension? Is something waiting to be solved? Is someone needing you before you've even had a moment to arrive? And within minutes, the person who was sitting quietly in the driveway is gone, replaced by the version that functions for the household. It's a strange thing to be that physically present and feel that far away at the same time. You're answering questions, you're nodding, you're in the rhythm of the evening, but part of you is still in the car, still in those 30 seconds before the door opened, when the only thing being asked of you was to breathe. The gap between the person they're looking at and the person actually standing there is wide. They see someone present. You feel like you've never been further away. And we do this because we care. Because we want the home to be peaceful. But the cost of it, the constant monitoring, the adjusting, the convincing of ourselves that we're ready to be here, is real. The first 5 minutes of being home are often the most exhausting of the entire day, because they require the most from you all at once. We're convincing everyone, including ourselves, that we have arrived, that we are ready, that we are here, when mostly we're still looking for somewhere to put the day down. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from being the person everyone relies on to stay level. When you walk through that door, you don't arrive as just a person. You arrive as a function. You provide stability. You provide the listening ear. You provide the version of the evening that keeps things from tipping. And because the people in your house are good, because they're not unkind, because they actually love you, you feel the weight of giving them the good version of yourself in return. If they were difficult, you'd have a reason to pull away, but they're not. So you feel the debt. And that debt is not a small one. You ask the follow-up questions. You stay in the conversation even when you have nothing left to give it. Your love for them has quietly become a reason to hide from them. You're trading your own honesty for their comfort, and somewhere underneath that trade, something is building that you can't even admit to, because what are you supposed to say? That you love them and you're exhausted by them at the same time. That the kindness of the home sometimes makes it harder to be in. You find yourself wishing for just one evening where you could be unavailable. Not in a way that damages anything, just in a human way. Permission to be grumpy or silent or entirely somewhere else without it being read as a problem that needs to be solved. But in the domestic performance, there's no role for the unavailable self. You're always on call. The front door wasn't the entrance to your rest. It was the entrance to the second shift. The hesitation on the porch isn't weakness. It isn't ingratitude. It's a quiet form of self-preservation that most people practice alone without naming it. You're trying to keep a small part of yourself intact before you give the rest away to the people you love. And you do give it, every evening, without announcement, without acknowledgement. You walk in, you hold the atmosphere steady, and nobody sees the cost because the performance is that good. That moment in the car, though, that extra minute before you open the door, that moment belongs to you. It's not avoidance. It's not wasted time. It's the only honest space in the whole day where the requirements haven't reached you yet, and you're just a person, unobserved, deciding when you're ready. The truth is, you carry the driveway with you even after you go inside. Some part of you stays out there, in the quiet, in the stillness, in the version of the evening that didn't require anything from you. And that's okay. That's just what this costs. If the driveway showed up for you somewhere in this, that moment in the car, that pause before the handle, you're not alone in it. Most people who do that keep it to themselves. They don't mention it inside because it's hard to explain. And it's even harder to explain without it sounding like a complaint about people you love. But it's not a complaint. It's just a cost. One you've been paying quietly, most evenings, without anyone noticing. The pause was real, and it was earned. And the question for us is, what is the first thought that goes through your mind in those few seconds before you turn the key, the one you never say out loud when you get inside?